Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to the channel. It's 4:55 on June 15th, so first and foremost, happy Father's Day to everybody. On our way down to the lake, got about a half-hour drive or so. Just thought I would talk a little bit about what we think we're gonna see and what we're planning to do, and then we'll see what actually happens. But just kind of, you know, when you haven't seen a lake for a month, kind of almost like a new body of water. So things have changed. So we've had a algae bloom on the lake. That's been more recent, which is pretty common. Usually around the end of the spawn, we start to get the algae. Depending on warming trends and how fast it warms up, you know, it can blow up pretty good, or it can kind of linger. Seems like it's kind of lingered this year a little bit. So I don't know where the fish are going to be. My guess is they're everywhere, like they always are. You know, there's always fish shallow, there's always fish deep. They're definitely starting to move towards their summertime haunts. I don't think the lake has stratified into like a thermocline yet. We'll see when we get out there and we turn on the electronics where that's at. Probably gonna take a little different approach today. Probably not gonna focus as much on the forward facing stuff. Really kind of break down what I would do if I'm just kind of looking for fish and searching and trying to see what's going on. The videos you've seen so far have been more forward-facing based, but we used to throw a lot of shallow baits, and so I tend to like to power fish. I like to fish fast. I think I have a buzzbait, a spinnerbait, a chatterbait, walking bait for topwater, a shallow diving crank, a square bill, one of the new KVD elites that I want to try out today if the water's just right for it. So we'll see. Anyways, yeah, gonna finish up this drive and we'll catch you on the water. So no graph to start this morning. Everything is turned off. I think we're gonna grab this and we're gonna go throw a buzzer, see what happens. Trolling motor on relatively high. Let's see if they're here. Gotta tighten my drag. The setup is a Dobyns Champion 736CB 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, because I'm covering a lot of, I'm going to cover as much water as I can as fast as I can. I'm just looking to see if they come up shallow this morning. Started on this end of the lake down by the quarry, just because I know I'll get a little more shade a little longer before the sun starts to come over these hills. So this rod is a chatterbait rod, also makes a good buzzbait rod, spinnerbait rod as well too. For up to about a ½ ounce, maybe 3/4, I guess. I don't usually throw that heavy just because I don't fish moving baits that deep usually, since everything here drops so fast. This is I believe it's a War Eagle buzzbait. I want to say ½ ounce. And I think mouse is the color. Throwing a 6-cent stroker craw and the Pro Green Pumpkin, I think. So a couple things I do with this buzzbait to get it to do what I want it to do. First things first, as everybody knows, or if you don't know, you want to take the buzzbait out of the package and rough up the wires and around the blade So usually what I'll do is I'll take a little sandpaper and I'll grind up that wire a little bit. And the purpose for that is you want this buzzbait to squeak and make noise. And I don't know if you can hear it on the video, but this buzzbait squeaks a lot, which is part of the reason I like it. Other reason I like it is it just good color, good size, good blade size, stays up on the water nicely. Issues I have with this buzzbait are you throw it long enough and the blade, the metal on the blade is relatively thin and it'll actually wear out and the blade will actually break off. One of the other things is, you can see on the buzzbait here, I'll try to pull it up here on the rivet here. I try to bend it up and down a little bit so that the buzzbait, you know, that when it's in the water and it's turning, it's knocking off of that, hopefully to make a little more noise. I said, you want your buzzbait to be noisy. That's the big thing. I just want to chart. What do we got? 75.1 water temperature. Not as cold as or as warm as I thought it was going to be. That was not where I wanted it. And I had a fish just come up on it as I was doing that. There he is. Came back for it. That's a freaking thin one, but nice and long. Look at that. That's what you want with a buzzbait right there, guys. Little skinny though. Take a quick shot of this guy. Get him in that camera. I ain't even gonna bother to weigh him. So, before I jump back in, one of the things that I do, I was hoping you could see it, but it's still buried in the plastic. So when we get to a break, I tie a bait keeper like I do on my little jigs. And I do that because this doesn't have any sort of bait keeper, but it holds my plastic nicely in place, so I don't have to worry about it coming off. Oh, family of ducks. So I guess I didn't really talk. I mean, I said this rod is good for, this 736 is good for buzzbait fishing and single hook baits like this. What I like about it is it's parabolic. And the reason I want a parabolic rod is I want that tip to have some bend to it. So when I get that bite, you can suck it in before, you know, it gets to him, so he can get that hook in a good spot. And you can see that last one, I mean, right where he needed to be, right in the upper mouth. Nice and solid. That fish wasn't coming off. So one of the things about fishing fast like this is I'm a firm believer in, you know, when the light comes up and we can see these fish, if we're covering water, that I'm not trying to catch the fish I can see. I'm not trying to catch every fish. I'm just trying to catch the real aggressive ones real fast, you know. I want to put my bait in as front of, I want to put my bait in as front of as many fish as I possibly can as fast as I can. So, you know, I'm looking to try to just catch that one or two every once in a while that are dumb enough to eat or hungry enough to eat, I guess. Whatever you want to look at it. Nobody ever said bass are the smartest, right? So one of the other things, and I don't know if you can notice this, but you know, I got my trolling motor at about 6, and I don't take my foot off of it very often. There's a lot of theory behind that decision for me. If you think about when you hear loud noises, when you hear a sudden out loud noise, right, it catches you by surprise. Or when you hear noise and it just kind of pops out of nowhere, it catches you by surprise, right? You kind of jolt a lot of times because, you know, you weren't expecting it. Whereas if you think about kind of like a loud car or a loud motorcycle coming at you, right? That loud motorcycle or loud car never stops making that noise. So you know it's coming, but it's not as alarming. It doesn't jolt you as much. Well, I have a theory with that with fishing too. When you're kind of constant, you think about like white noise, right? Just like a hum. it's gonna slip up on you. And by the time you notice that it's there, it's kind of the frogs in the pot boiling, right? If you throw frogs into hot water or into boiling water, they'll jump out. If you turn the heat up slowly, they'll sit there until they cook. It's kind of the same with, my theory is with the trolling motor is, I want my trolling motor to not start and stop because, you know, bass feel pulses. And I don't want them to feel that pulse in the water when I'm turning it on and off. So I try not to take my foot off the trolling motor too often. I mean, I will if like there's a bunch of trees in the water and I don't want to smash my trolling motor into it. But for the most part, I'm gonna keep my trolling motor on a constant on. So that means if I'm fishing a bait that moves slow, I'm going to dial my trolling motor down. So I've got baits. There's another one. Look at that. That's a good one too. That's a solid fish. That's a solid one. We're gonna picture that bad boy. And my buzzbait's wrecked. Well, we ain't gonna get a weight on that fish, but I'm gonna guess it's about 4.5. Good job, girl. Here she goes. Hell, that fish destroyed this buzzbait. Look at this thing. Let's see if we can get it back to a normal shape there. Pulled the skirt down, pulled the bait down. That was awesome. That was awesome. Well, you know, let's see how it runs in the water. It's not. So I was saying, I tie a wire keeper and you can see it right there. But I posted a video to it, or a link to a video. I believe Aaron Martin's tying it. If not, I'll post one. But I tie that on and that holds the plastic up in place. You know, the nice thing about a buzzbait, you can steer it, right? You can kind of judge where you're moving your boat to. You know, I want to keep my rod tip a little higher because I want that bait to ride the surface, so I want it to stay up top. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to make a long cast and put my rod straight down in the water because it'll, as you can see, it doesn't stay up on the top. So you want that bait riding the surface. Fish. Once that sun comes up, I'm going to probably start picking up the spinnerbait, considering what we've seen, and just go subsurface instead of surface. Again, I'm trying to be as transparent with people as possible, so we'll talk about the bait. So the spinnerbaits that I'm throwing are they're Z-Man, 1/2 ounce. And the reason I throw that bait is they're one of the few that make a really good bluegill imitating spinnerbait. And again, this lake is heavily influenced by bluegills. You know, it had shad in it when they first opened the lake, and it doesn't anymore. So I don't know what happened to them. They did not survive, and they're not putting them back in here. So again, it's silver sides and bluegills. Well, if I'm a bass, what am I going after? I'm going after the bigger meal sometimes, which would be the bluegill. Otherwise, I got to go catch 1,000 baby fry or silver sides to make a meal. So I'm going to start guiding. I got my guide's license. Right now, I'm going to do about 1 day a week. And the reason for that is just time. You know, I still want to be able to make content. So ideally, I'd like to do, you know, about 4 hours, maybe 6 hours on the water guiding. And then that way it would give me a chance to finish out the day throwing whatever it may be for you guys and being able to bring you content. So we shall see. One of the things I want to focus in on, though, since I've spent a lot of time learning how to do it, is teaching people how to use some of their electronics, because we've spent thousands of dollars on these graphs, literally, quite literally. And I feel like there's a lot of potential for people to use it better. You know, look at it like this. It's kind of like what I'm doing here, right? I'm fishing fast, I'm covering water, I'm looking. While the forward facing gives you the ability to cover water in deeper spots and see if you can find fish faster, right? It really eliminates some of the guesswork, I guess, from what we used to do, which I guess there's a lot of theory on that, you know, or a lot of opinion. I won't call it theory. We'll call it opinion, because that's what it is. That it's ruining the fishing industry, or it's cheating, or it's the cheater box. Look, I get 4 hours today on the water, probably, maybe 5 if I'm lucky. And I haven't been out here for a month. I'm gonna take every advantage that I can to try to maximize my time fishing, because I may not see the lake again for another month. Who knows? You know, and I'm a firm believer in, I wanna have fun, and I wanna, you know, we fish because we like the tug on the line, right? Well, if I can increase the opportunities and the potential, so be it. Something my dad always told me growing up fishing is, do something that nobody else is doing. And so part of the reason I've always been pretty open about how I fish and where I'm catching, well, not so much the spots as much, though some of it is, it forces me to stop doing either what I'm doing or what everyone else is doing, and go pick up a buzzbait that nobody's throwing, or pick up a chatterbait that nobody's throwing that day, or pick up a spinnerbait that nobody's throwing, and, you know, fish differently. You know, growing up fishing bluegill and crappie and everything that I fished, I grew up in the Midwest on, you know, first of all, deep was 10 feet. Well, I mean, this is how close we are to shore. I can almost touch it. And we're probably sitting in 10 to 15 feet. This lake is, you know, it's a deep hole. It's a big reservoir. You know, there's 3 dams holding the water into it. You got the East Dam, the West Dam, and the Saddle Dam. I want to say it tops out at about 220 feet, maybe a little deeper. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so it's a deep reservoir. So you get a lot of opportunities to fish offshore structure and do all that, fish points. I just, again, you see all this slop. How do you drag a jig in that? You know, how do you drag a drop shot in it and not just get all slimed up? Especially when there's 4 and 5 pounders up shallow. I'd rather fish them in a way that's way more fun and not fight everything. That is a shallow point. If I was a bass, I would live right there. Thank God I'm not a bass. There we go. Another good one. Get out of that tree. That guy freaking just thumped the crap out of it. Dude, these fish are tanks. Dude, that's why we buzzbait fish. That's why we throw a buzzbait. See what this one goes. .535. Or that means we could go look in other places. But I think we're gonna stay on the buzzbait bite. Uh-oh. Did it break? There you go. It's a broken buzzbait. Kind of want to start throwing the spinnerbait now while I'm in the sun. So back to, let's talk real quick about that. It's the Z-Man, I believe it's like a Sling Blades. I've got a package, I could pull it later. Bluegill color, 1/2 ounce, double gold willow leaf. And I trail it, and my trailer looks a little bent, a little wonky, so we're gonna grab a different trailer. This one has a bait keeper. My trailer is the 6 cents juggle minnow. You know, good bait for strolling, but yeah, there's a bunch of baby bass down here. Also a good bait for a lot of other things, like following a chatterbait or following a spinnerbait. And the color is 4K bluegill. Again, I'm trying to imitate a specific thing, right? So I'm going to get myself as close as I can. Now, normally, I would say gold's probably not the best blade choice out here, but I happen to know that they eat this spinnerbait out here. So, same thing with the buzzbait. I am not going to slow down. I'm just going subsurface with this because I just want to fish fast, cover water. See if I can find a couple more of those fish. When we get back in that shape. Oh, dude, I just got bit. Oh, I got him. A little guy. Little guy. That's why. Dude, little ones are bumping it. Yep, can see them chasing it. But they're little. They're not the right ones. Gosh, there should be fish in these trees though. If I was a fish, there's not a lot of shade on this lake. Take every piece of ambush cover you can when you're the fish on this lake. I just saw that fish come up. Oh, I missed him. Dude, I watched him come up and eat it. That was a 3, easily. Holy cow. And I missed him. How? He had it. All right, well, that's a wrap. So thanks again for joining us. So today was interesting. Like I said, hadn't been out here in a little over a month, so kind of made a guess as to what I thought they might be doing and just kind of covered water to see where they were at. And like I said, we got lucky on the buzzbait this morning. We got 3 real good ones on the buzzbait. We ended up getting them. Missed 1 real good one on the spinnerbait. Had a couple other bites. And then got 4 on the minnow, just fishing some of the offshore structure. Got some striper. Ran into a buddy. Took him and his old man and his son. Got him up on them. They got a nice big bluegill. So overall, good day. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, thanks, guys.